This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the Bottom Feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, and welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. There's no question that injury and also chronic pain are part of the pool service profession. I'm going to go over some tips to kind of protect your body and also some things that you may not be aware of by doing pool service for 25 or 30 years, and it is a very physical and taxing job over time. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support from me. I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. I would say of the service jobs out there, it's probably not the most physical job you can do. You know, the people that do HVAC repairs and installs do a lot of super heavy lifting. Gardeners and landscapers are always lifting heavy equipment out of their vehicle. For us, the heaviest thing that we're going to probably take back there maybe is a 50-pound bucket of tablets or a 40-pound bag of salt. Everything else you can take back with a dolly. Now, getting an old heater out if it's an enclosed equipment area is a pretty hefty job for sure, but we don't do that very often. So I would say on a physical scale, of course, someone that cleans homes is going to have less physical lifting and potential for injury. A landscaper, gardener, HVAC, plumber, bringing in those heavy toilets, and pool service professionals are probably in the similar category where our wear and tear over time builds up. And this is something to be aware of. And one thing that you have to know when you get into the industry at a young age, I started when I was 16 actually. So I started pool service, actually I was 15 and a half, believe it or not. And I've been doing this for a very long time. And it does wear on your body. So what are some of the wear points or things to be aware of? I think the first and foremost is to make sure that you don't hurt your back. Back injuries are common. And it's mainly from lifting things improperly. You know, everyone knows how to lift things. You bend your knees and you lift up that way. But when you're out there in the field or doing something, you don't really think about that consciously, and so you don't lift things correctly. So I've injured my back before, and it's something that one thing that I do when I'm carrying heavy things like bags of salt, tablets. I do have a back brace that I got from Amazon. And basically, you just put this back brace on, and it's not really there to keep your back from being injured. It's there to actually give you proper support, and it allows you to have that extra security, and it kind of consciously makes you lift up things correctly because it covers, there's like a lumbar support, and it goes across the front with Velcro, and it's hard to lift things improperly because it's uncomfortable if you're lifting things not properly, if that makes sense. So it kind of has a dual purpose. It keeps you in the proper position to lift, and it prevents injury. So I suggest ordering one of those right away if you don't have one. And so when you're bringing in 8 bags of salt, of course using a dolly is also very helpful. But sometimes you don't have one, or you're just lifting something. You just want to make sure that you have that back brace available. But having a small dolly, and I use a portable dolly. I got it at Costco many, many years ago. I don't know if Costco still sells it, but it was like $40, and it was a flip-out dolly, and it was really effective for bringing back 2 bags of salt at a time. And you can carry a full-size dolly on your truck as well, but it's just not the most, logical thing to carry sometimes. A portable dolly is better. So lifting and not doing things to strain your back is number one. I have a neighbor here who recently passed away, and one of the causes of him passing away at a young age was that he hurt his back at work. Then he had to get some vertebrae fused, and the surgery was kind of tough and the recovery was hard. And after that, his health just disintegrated. So you want to be really careful with your back, because the last thing you want to do is have to have vertebrae fused and, getting all that done because you just weren't careful out there. Another area is your hands. Now, it's not similar to people that do a lot of typing or do a lot of writing with their hands and get the carpal tunnel syndrome kind of thing, but we do have problems with our hands over time because we are doing repetitive motion, believe it or not, gripping the pole, and also different things you do with your hands over and over again for 20 years is going to cause problems with your hands. And so I do have problems with my hands, and one thing that I use and is really effective, and I'll probably add it to my Pool Guy Gear page. So if you go to my website, swimmingpoollearning.com, if you scroll down to the very bottom of the page, there's a Pool Guy Gear or stuff that I use, and in there I have my cold weather gloves. I guess I can touch on that as well here. I also have my regular nitrile gloves that I wear, my sunglasses, and I will put this link. I have my knee pads there. I'll put the link here for these gloves, but these are great because these are something you can use at night, and it really helps relieve any kind of hand pain, or it also will prevent probably further damage. And they're called Vive Arthritis Gloves, VIVE, and you can get them on Amazon. I use size large. I believe I use size large. Let me see what I ordered last. I use size medium actually, so take that back. And they're like $9, and what they are, they're compression gloves. You put them on at night when you sleep, and it puts pressure on your hands, and it does relieve a lot of pain, and it will actually reverse some of that chronic pain in your hands over time. So they're great. They have 21,500 reviews, so they're pretty popular. Again, that's Vive Arthritis Gloves, and they're really, really helpful because you will have repetitive work, and you will have injuries from doing that just by the nature of doing things over and over again for 20 years. So take my advice, order a pair of these as soon as you can and wear them every night. Even if you don't have hand pain now, it's a great preventative measure to protect your hands and to bring healing to your hands so that you don't actually develop problems. I did mention I would talk about the cold weather gloves because I think it's important to protect yourself in all environments. And these are my Atlas 772 gloves, and these go all the way up to they're 26 inches long, so they go all the way past your elbow. And for this one, I do get large because sometimes I like wearing another pair of cotton gloves underneath because it gets really cold sometimes early in the morning here. Thankfully, we had a pretty mild winter, but these are great for cold weather pool care. If you start at the crack of dawn, you can put these on, and it'll protect your hands from getting frostbite and getting, freezing cold. And it's not something that I don't think is going to be typically a long-term health hazard, but it is uncomfortable to touch your pole with your regular hands in really cold water, where these Atlas nitrile-coated gloves, they're 26 inches long. They're really going to protect you in cold weather. Again, not something that's a chronic thing or a pain thing, but your hands will hurt from the cold water for sure. And the Pool Guy Podcast Show has teamed up with UPA to bring you affordable, reliable liability insurance starting at just $64 a month. Get up to $2 million in coverage, and the members of my coaching group get an even lower rate. Protect your business and your peace of mind. Sign up with UPA today by clicking the link in the podcast description. Then I wear my regular nitrile gloves, and all these are on the page that I mentioned on my website. And these are really good to protect your hands against chemicals, because one thing that you want to avoid is touching harmful chemicals all day long. Some of the chemicals are a known carcinogen. Some are industrial carcinogens, but you definitely don't want to be picking up trichlor tablets with your bare hand over and over again, because you will get burned. I mentioned this before, but I knew someone who worked in a trichlor factory making tablets, and they have these really robust and thick industrial strength gloves, and for some reason he wasn't using them one day and he just was using regular kitchen dishwashing gloves. And when he got home that night, his hands were like red and inflamed, and his hands were actually burned from working with the trichlor all day, not wearing the proper gloves. So over time, you will have problems with the trichlor burning your skin because it is very acidic. And it's also really helpful to have these gloves when you're doing salt cell cleanings with muriatic acid. I can't tell you how many times this has saved me from being burned by the acid-water mixture when I accidentally spill some on my hands or tip over the salt cell. So definitely really helpful to have these nitrile gloves. And again, you can find them on my website, or you can just Google them on Amazon. I guess you can't Google on Amazon, but you go to Amazon and put it in the search box. Just put in, I know it's weird, Amazon's products are actually the item, 6 pairs men's work gloves with microfoam coating. And the brand that I use is G&F. So go ahead and put in 6 pairs men's work gloves with microfoam coating. G&F products is the one that you want to get. And I order large in these because they run kind of small. So definitely want to order the large pair of gloves. They'll fit really well on your hands. And I'm 5'7", 150 pounds. Well, actually 146 pounds. So you kind of can size the gloves based on that. Now boots are really important too, because you can develop athlete's foot. I've done that out there. I've developed foot problems because of fungus when your feet get wet being out there at work. So I do recommend having a really good waterproof boot. Now, having a waterproof boot doesn't mean that over time you're not going to get your feet wet, because they do wear out. They're not something that's going to last forever. But I find that this brand actually wears out just at the right time when the soles of the boot wear out, if that makes sense. So the waterproofing doesn't wear out faster than the actual soles of the boots. And by the time you're ready for a new pair, you can order those because basically they're worn out entirely. But I like the Columbia Men's Newton Ridge Plus boots, plus 2 boots. Again, that's the Columbia Men's Newton Ridge Plus 2. You can find those on my site as well under the Pool Guy Gear tab, and it'll have the link to buy them. To me, these are the most comfortable boots, and the waterproofing is really good as well. And I really recommend you wear waterproof boots out there to prevent problems with your feet over time, which can develop, and is something that you want to protect, because your feet are important, of course, because you're going to be walking around, hopefully in your retirement, and you don't want to have feet that are messed up because you weren't wearing waterproof boots out there. I know several people in their older age, not really that old actually, in their late 50s, early 60s, that developed cataracts. Now, the surgery is pretty good now. It's pretty effective. But why would you want to have surgery if you can avoid it? And wearing a good pair of sunglasses is also important. I sound like I'm a salesperson for all these products, but I'm really not. I just like these products. I probably should get paid from all these products. But I do like wearing polarized sunglasses out there. Not only do the polarized sunglasses help cut down on the reflection on the water when you're looking at the water itself, you can see if you spray a little bit of dish soap on the surface, you can really see the bottom clearly with the polarized glasses. And I mentioned this before, a fisherman had told me about him because he uses them when he went fishing. And one of my customers fishes a lot, and he's like, "Your sunglasses are no good, man. You gotta try these." And he gave me his glasses to try on, and I looked at the pool and I was like, I need to order these right away because I can actually see the bottom of the pool so clearly without the sun's reflection on it blocking it. And they're really great because the polarized glasses do protect you from the sun's UV rays to the point where you probably won't develop cataracts if you wear these all the time. I wear these even when it's cloudy out because I want that extra protection. But they're called Dudama Polarized Sports Glasses, Duduma Polarized Sports Glasses. And again, you can find these from the link on my website as well. And they're like $15, and they're very durable. They're almost like safety glasses because they kind of curve around your eyes. They're not technically work safety glasses, but they're pretty effective. I've had things pop up in my face before and hit the glasses, and it has saved me so many times. So wearing sunglasses also is a dual protection. When you're pouring acid in the pool, sometimes it'll splash, and if you're not wearing your sunglasses, it may get in your eyes. Sometimes when I actually drop trichlor tablets in the chlorinator, I've had some water splash out towards me, so this is a great way to protect it. I think the worst was when I was cutting a PVC pipe. I was using my red compression cutters, and I don't know what went wrong, but the pipe cracked and snapped, and it broke into pieces and shot up everywhere, and a piece of it went right towards my eye, and it hit the sunglasses. So it's actually a great way to protect your eyes as well as protect them from the sun. The bottom line is you just want to protect yourself from injuries. And then the last thing I'll touch on is knee pads. Now these are something that I do wear out there, and I usually wear one knee pad so I can have one knee free. Over time I decided one knee pad's enough. You can try different knee pads. There's all different ones out there. But I find the Ergodyne ones, the ProFlex 335, to be pretty good. And I also wear long pants out there. I don't know if you've seen my videos, but I don't wear shorts. I haven't worn shorts in probably 20 plus years because I just don't want the sun hitting my legs, and there's all kinds of cancer issues with that. So I wear long pants as well. But the bottom line is if you wear knee pads, or one knee pad at least, kneeing down all the time is going to cause chronic knee issues over the course of 20 years or 10 years or however long you do it. And it's just something that you probably should be cognizant of, that the knee pads are really important out there while you're working. Now that I covered all that, let me talk a little bit about what happens when you do get injured out there. Now, there are some organizations that, like IPSA, which is a pool pro organization, that has sick route coverage. It's a possibility to get someone to cover part of your route for a short period of time, but then, of course, if you join, you're going to do sick route coverage yourself. A lot of times, you can just skip the pools for that week if you're hurt, and hopefully you can recover. I've sprained an ankle. I've had other injuries where I've missed some work. I don't like missing work, so I'll kind of limp through things. I've had an ingrown toenail where I worked with one boot and one sandal on. It's one of those things where I'm kind of like a person that doesn't like missing, and it's not a healthy thing, I guess, in some respects. But if you do miss work, you should have your schedule set up, and this is something that you should do and explain to your customers. But there are not a lot, but there are at least 4 or 5 times a year where you have 5 of the same day. So you have 5 Wednesdays maybe in July, or 5 Wednesdays in June, depending on how the calendar falls, and every year is a little different. But you're only billing monthly, so you have an extra week built in basically for vacation and sick days. So you should have one full dedicated month off basically, where you can take time off if you hurt yourself or if you're sick. So keep that in mind, that there's no need to actually push yourself if you're not feeling well, because you have that built-in safety net with the calendar and the way you bill. Unless, of course, you bill weekly, and then you're going to have to take that day off and not bill the customer. But most people bill monthly, and that's a built-in kind of safety net there. And sometimes training a family friend, or even having someone ride with you, if you're hurt and you can't do a lot of physical things, maybe a nephew or a cousin can actually ride with you, can drive around, and they can do all the more physical heavy lifting. And with 2 people, even if they're not super trained and know what they're doing, with 2 people at a pool site, it's going to be a lot faster than just you by yourself. Even if you're doing chemicals and emptying baskets while he does the physical things, it can be done, and it's a pretty effective way to do your pool route if you get hurt. You may have a buddy that you can kind of swap pools with in case you get hurt. If you have another pool pro in your area that you can trust, you guys can make an agreement that if you get hurt, you do his pools, or vice versa. And if you have employees, that's even better, because then they can cover some of your work for you. And employees usually don't mind doing extra work for extra money, as long as you pay them for it. So there's all different ways around it, but there's no really good way that, there's no real, bulletproof way that you can fill in your route if you get sick. So unfortunately, if you get the flu or COVID or something and you get injured, it's not super clean. There's nothing that you can do except sometimes just miss that day and make up for it next week. And of course, with the built-in billing that I mentioned, you're not going to lose any money. But if you're out for 2 or 3 weeks, you may not want to bill the customer for that, of course. And, things could get ugly for you. So it's something to be aware of, that you just want to be safe out there. Try to watch your step. Try not to fall or trip on anything. And it's something inevitable when you're going to fall. And hopefully the injury is not debilitating. I've had pool guys where they've broken legs. I've had pool guys where they've had an injury to where they can't work anymore, and it's unfortunate. But if you take precautions and wear knee pads, wear the nitrile gloves like I mentioned, have a back brace when you're doing heavy lifting, the chances of you being debilitated out there are reduced greatly with those safety measures and precautions. And just understand that you're going to have probably chronic pain as you get older. Football players have this. I had a high school teacher that was an ex-football player for many years, and he told the class that every morning he has to crawl into the shower and have a cold shower to loosen up his joints because his body was wrecked playing football. So these things do happen. You are doing a physical job, so understand that wear and tear is part of this job. Looking for other podcasts, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel Monday through Friday, and I'll have an episode there for you every day during the week. And also you can go to my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. On the banner, there's a podcast icon. Click on that and there'll be a drop-down menu of 1,700 podcasts for you there as well. If you're interested in my coaching program, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of every life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.